What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P, and we are back once again. And you know when you see me on the TV, you know when you see me on your computer screens or your mobile phone screens, you got one thing for certain and three things for sure. One is that the Motor City Cats are back at it. Two is that we came to give you stats and not static. And three is that we want to be sure that you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And the way that we make sure to keep your Lions news pragmatic is we don't give you all the fluff. We don't give you all the other stuff. We just give you what's going on, and we make sure we keep it tough. All right now, because in the streets is rough. All right, how y'all doing today? It is the Motor City Cats. We are back at it on Tuesday. What is it, May 26th for y'all? You know, it's the 27th for me. So it's the 26th for y'all, or is it the 28th for me? 27th for y'all. Yeah, it's the 28th for me, the 27th for y'all. I'm in the future, I'm in the past, I'm all over the place, and we got some things to talk about today. We are going to be highlighting, previewing what is going to take place in Lions offense or organized team activities, right? You know, the Lions organized team activities are going to be kicking off this week. And the reason is because our offseason is accelerated. And the reason that our offseason is accelerated is because we are playing in the Hall of Fame game. That's right. The Hall of Fame game is an extra preseason game for us, right? It used to be 5 preseason games with the Hall of Fame game. Now it's 4 preseason games with the Hall of Fame game. And we're going to get into what you can expect. What are some things to watch for? As the title says, what to watch for as Detroit Lions OTAs start this week. That's right. We are very close to football activities. We are very close to football activities, my friends. We are not far away, right? The Hall of Fame game is that game when you look up and you're like, oh, there's football on today. That's the Hall of Fame game, right? We all experience that most of the time, because most of us don't really pay attention to the Hall of Fame game. I honestly cannot tell you when the last time is that I watched an entire Hall of Fame game. You do get to watch a couple quarters, maybe just the first quarter, maybe the first half, but it kind of dwindles away like most preseason games. But I have to watch them in total, right? I have to watch the full thing because then I have to be able to talk about what happened during the entire preseason game and then come and talk about it with you. Like, for example, some guy that we don't know if he's going to make the roster looks really good against other 3rd and 4th string players, and he's for sure going to make the roster in your eyes because he looked great against other 3rd and 4th string players. But then he makes the practice squad and then he never comes up to play a game because he looked great against other 3rd and 4th stringers. Just because he looks great against 3rd and 4th stringers does not mean he's going to look great against the football players, the big boy players, 1st and 2nd team. All right. What up, though? K ain't pressed. She's on here with this bull crap once again about teams that we're going to lose to and teams she's afraid of. Let's just let it play out. You too afraid. You too scared. Yes, Zach Cunningham is a well-known linebacker around the NFL. We will get to that as well. All right. So what do we have for you guys today? As I said, we are going to be talking about what is going to go on. Okay. We have 5 storylines. Okay. 5 storylines to watch at Lions OTAs. All right. Let me go ahead and pop out this chat. So when y'all come in and you say what up, though, then I can see you. Okay. All right. Chat popped out. I'm glad you think so. I'm glad you think so, K. Press. All right. Chat is popped out. And we can go ahead into this. We've got storylines to watch at Lions OTAs. 5 storylines to watch. And we have none other than John McElroy. Well, actually, it's Christian Boer, Detroit Lions on SI, says the Detroit Lions open organized team activities this week. Detroit is facing an accelerated all-season schedule after being selected to play in the Hall of Fame game. As a result, Coach Dan Campbell will be tasked with making the most of the limited time that the team has together before training camp. Don't let me forget about Joey Bosa. Don't let me forget about Joey Bosa, because that's something that I got to talk to y'all about. Okay? Just don't let me forget. Someone put a pin in it and be like, don't forget Joey Bosa. Okay? And I want to talk about it after we talk about this, because we might just kind of go off the rails and take a detour down edge rusher lane. You know what it is. The Lions also canceled their mandatory minicamp in an effort for the team to adjust to the new preseason schedule. Their trek toward a Lombardi trophy will be aided by newcomers, both young and old, and as a result, expectations are plenty high for the Lions. Here are 5 storylines to watch when the Lions open OTAs later this week. Number 1, Hutchinson's availability. Let me put this on the live chat. Okay. Hutchinson's availability. One of the biggest elements of OTAs will be just how much Hutchinson does. Even though the practices will be non-contact, Hutchinson has been fully cleared and will take the field in front of the media for the first time since suffering a season-ending injury in Week 6 last season. What up, though, Jared Colucci? I'm good. How are you? The lack of contact and team-oriented drills will limit how big of an impact Hutchinson will have, but the open practice will give the media an opportunity to see how the Michigan product is moving on the field. Based on how the Lions have handled injuries in the past, it wouldn't be surprising for Hutchinson to be limited throughout OTAs in anticipation of unleashing him in training camp. In that case, he still could be available to showcase his progress during individual drills. And y'all know where I'm going with this one. I want to see how much work Marcus Davenport does in these OTAs. Okay? That's what I'm looking for. How much work does Marcus Davenport do in these OTAs? Because you know you can't give him too much. Okay? You know you can't give him too much. And of course, I'm going to make a joke about a hangnail, or, you know what I'm saying, something. But until proven otherwise, and I would love for him to prove me wrong this season, I can't not make the joke. Will the NFC North be the best division in football? It's looking like it's shaping up to be that way, but we do have 2 unknowns. We have 2 unknowns. We have the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson doesn't seem to be getting off to a great start with Caleb Williams. ESPN doesn't believe that Ben Johnson will be able to fix Caleb Williams. So we have that unknown. And then we also have the unknown in J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy. We don't know what he's going to be quarterbacking a team as the leader of an NFL football team. So we don't know. Those 2 unknowns make it kind of iffy. No pun intended. Shout out Iffy in Miami. But the 2 mainstays in the NFC North are still what we believe going to be the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. The Bears had a good roster last year, okay? They always have a good roster in the offseason. Their problem is having a good roster that actually does something in the regular season. Maybe 11 wins, could be 12, could be 10 wins. As long as we win the division, then it truly doesn't matter. I said something about this before. People are calling for 10 wins. Just win 10. I don't care. Win 10 wins and get in the playoffs. It's not that easy, my friend. Okay? 10 wins without a division title, it's going to be hard to get into the playoffs. Okay? 10 wins ain't what 10 wins used to be. It used to be before 10-6 pretty much guaranteed you a spot in the playoffs. Not so fast. Not anymore. 10-7 is like 9-7. You could be on the outside looking in. All right. So again, Hutchinson's availability is something that we want to watch for in the OTAs coming up. As I said, me personally, and y'all might take this as a joke, but it's not. I'm looking at Marcus Davenport and how is his availability in OTAs. Will they have him outside of his bubble wrap, or will they have the bubble wrap on fastened firmly around his entire body? How do I feel about the AFC? We'll get to it. There's the cream of the crop, and that's the people that we have to worry about. We got to worry about Baltimore, and we got to worry about Kansas City. We got to worry about Buffalo. We don't have to worry about Buffalo. If we see Buffalo this year, you know when it will be, and I ain't gonna say nothing. All right, the next thing. The next thing to watch for is we have the first look at our free agents. We signed some people. We signed DJ Reed to replace Carlton Davis, so we're going to have a look at him, so on and so forth. Not doing that, okay? Not doing that at all. All right. First look at the free agents. The Lions will have several new free agent signings in the mix, headlined by cornerback DJ Reed. In signing the veteran, Detroit hopes to have shored up its secondary. DJ Reed is really the guy that I'm looking to see. I think it's a lateral move from Carlton Davis in the way that I believe that DJ Reed will get more interceptions than Carlton Davis got. I think they're both very, very good in coverage. The numbers show that Carlton Davis has more interceptions, but when you look at the film and you look at the tape, the instincts, the highlights, the coverage, it seems as though DJ Reed is more of a ball hawk. It seems that he's a little bit quicker. Obviously, Carlton Davis is 6'2". DJ Reed is 5'9". So in order to make it in this league as a cornerback who is 5'9", 5'8", 5'10", around there, you've got to have the quickness. You've got to be able to break on the ball. You got to be able to drive through that thing. So I would like to see what DJ Reed, the elements that he brings to the table. Hold on. Let me answer this. All right. Okay, just had to get that. The second-year cornerback, Terrion Arnold. Yep, I do believe he will. So we'll finish this up, and then I will talk about Terrion because obviously that's part of it. Reed is expected to be an instant contributor and potentially the team's top cornerback. He's one of multiple veteran newcomers along with Rock Yassin and Avonte Maddox. While Yassin's role is currently undefined, Maddox is expected to be a backup safety. Elsewhere, defensive tackle Roy Lopez will offer valuable depth on the defensive interior, while linebacker Grant Stewart is a special teams ace who can also contribute defensively. So Stewart is going to be interesting. He is a special teams ace, so he's going to be replacing your Jalen Reeves-Maybin. And also, when he played against us, when we played the Colts last season, I think this is when he kind of stood out to the team, and this is when Dan Campbell kind of perked up and took notice of him because he is kind of all over the field a bit. He can play the game at a pretty high level, so I believe that he will be good for us, both in the special teams and the fact that Malcolm Rodriguez is probably going to start the season on the pup. So he's going to be some depth at linebacker as well. And I don't think that he will be like a fish out of water. Right, Jared, that is a valid question. So as I said, the person that I'm most excited to see is DJ Reed. I need to see what dynamic he brings. I also would like to see what kind of information he teaches Terrion Arnold. Now, here's the thing. The question was, do I think that the second-year corner will step up? I believe that Terrion Arnold has like a unique opportunity here. He was learning from Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis was his vet. Carlton Davis is 6'2". I believe Terrion Arnold is 5'11", 6 foot. So he was more in his wheelhouse as far as the size. So he's teaching him kind of big man corner stuff. But DJ Reed at 5'9" has some other wisdom to impart onto Terrion Arnold. So I think he gets it from both archetypes. And he has the ability to kind of craft a unique type of style and mentality as far as how he plays, because he's had a veteran who is a bigger guy and he's got a veteran who's a smaller guy. So now he's going to be able to mesh those things and come out with some pretty nice technique work. Instincts is not something that you really can pick up from someone else. It's something that you already have. That's why they call it instincts. But I think technique wise and the way that he looks at the game, right? So he'll be able to look at it from the top down and from the bottom up. So I believe that he's going to have a great opportunity here. And I think he's going to greatly benefit from the tutelage of a DJ Reed and a Carlton Davis. So I do believe he's going to step up. It's going to be good for his development. Roy Lopez, again, he's going to be solid depth. As we know, Aleem McNeil is going to definitely start the season on the pup. I don't even know, he'll probably be at OTAs in some capacity. He's probably not going to be doing any work. He's still in his rehab phase. Like we said, not best case scenario. Obviously, best case scenario is earlier in the season, but the most likely scenario is that he's not back until Thanksgiving. Okay. So while Roy Lopez is going to be solid depth for you, there's going to be a lot that falls on the shoulders of rookie Tyleik Williams, because he is going to have to be the guy that replaces Aleem McNeil. And here's the other thing. I don't know that we draft Tyleik Williams if Aleem McNeil is not injured. There was a report that came out that Brad Holmes was trying to trade up to grab James Pierce Jr. If Aleem McNeil is not hurt and he finishes out the season healthy and he's having a healthy offseason, you might have seen a guy like Jihad Campbell. Who knows? Because he was available, right? We don't know what draft. We don't know what draft Holmes draft board looked like, but I feel like Tyleik was more of a need pick than a BPA. Now, he's really good. I'm not saying he's a bad player or anything of this nature, but I think he was more of a need fill. I think with Aleem McNeil, we don't know how much of the season. They know how much of the season is going to miss. Like we said, probably Thanksgiving, hopefully before that. But with that huge hole, and then you signed Robin. I'm doing what the heavies did. You signed Roy Lopez. I don't I don't think that's something that they could just leave unaddressed. Now, maybe they could have done it in the second round as far as addressing that situation. Maybe they couldn't have. So they were comfortable drafting Tyleek, but he's going to be expected to step in right away next to DJ Reader and start. That's just the reality of the situation. You never, I can't say never, right? You don't want to put these expectations on rookies. However, this is what it is. This is the situation that we are in right now with him. All right. So the next part is offensive line position battles. I talked a lot about this yesterday. I talked about Tate Ratledge. I talked about Christian Mahogany, Graham Glasgow. And this is what we're going to look into now. It says the Lions return 4 of their 5 starters up front. So there will be at least one spot up for grabs with right guard Kevin Zeitler off to Tennessee. Offensive line coach Hank Fraley has a deep crop of young players who will compete for that starting spot. I think at this point, it's always Super Bowl or bust, right? We've got a great roster. Some would say that we have the best roster in the NFL. So if it's not Super Bowl or bust, what are we doing? You know, it's a failure of a season if you don't make it, if you don't win the Super Bowl. Every year, 31 teams fail. Okay, so now we're in the window of opportunity where we can say Super Bowl or bust. So yeah, I think every year is that. Detroit has 2 rookies in Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier, along with 2 picks from a season prior in Christian Mahogany and Gio Manu. All of these players are in contention to join the starting lineup. Another element of this competition will be the fact that the Lions are hoping to cross-train their rookies, so it's entirely possible that Ratledge or Frazier are also working at different positions. Okay, we saw Tate Ratledge get some work at center at the rookie minicamp, and apparently he looked pretty good doing it. He looked natural. He looked comfortable. He's very tall to be a center, so we'll see what happens. But if they think that they can get him on the field at backup center, obviously he's not supplanting Frank Ragnow, then he might take off some of the workload that Graham Glasgow has. Now, we don't want Frank Ragnow to get hurt, but we know what he's dealing with. We know his injury history, dealing with that inoperable toe and all these things. So it's possible that you see him getting in, maybe not even as an injury replacement, maybe just giving Frank a breather if he's that good. So we'll see. Another element of this competition will be the fact, we did that already. However, the first open OTA session should offer at least a glimpse of the ideas that the Lions have as it pertains to completing their starting lineup in the trenches. So again, you've got to start moving some of these guys into the roster. You've got to start letting them get their feet wet because, as I said, we got Taylor Decker and Graham Glasgow, which I don't believe are signing extensions here. Taylor Decker just signed an extension last offseason. So I think he's going to be here for 2 to 3 more years. After that, I don't believe he goes anywhere else. I believe he hangs it up. Like if he plays out his extension, I believe he hangs him up because he is long in the tooth and he's not getting any younger. So we've got to start seeing what we have in these guys. We've got to see what we have in Tate and Christian and Gio Manu. Again, Dan Skipper, obviously he's not a starter, and his role here is very nuanced, okay, and very unique. Okay, I've even seen him go out wide and run routes. He's 6'8", 300-pound man running routes. I've seen him line up outside at receiver. So we'll see what goes on there. Okay. Now, the fourth thing that we're going to get to, the fourth thing to watch for is how the rookies stack up. So we just talked about Tyleek Williams. We just talked about Tate Ratledge and Miles Frazier and people of that nature, right? So these are our rookies. It says rookie minicap offered a first glance at what Detroit's rookies have to offer, but OTAs give them the chance to compete against their veteran teammates for the first time. Throughout OTAs, first round pick Tyleik Williams will be able to match up against the likes of Frank Ragnow, while Ratledge and Frazier will be forced to square off with Detroit's defensive line. Wide receiver Isaac Tesla could see press coverage from Arnold or Reed throughout the season. Detroit's rookie class has modest expectations given the state of the team and Super Bowl hopes, but the competitive nature of OTAs should give the organization a chance to evaluate where the players need to grow ahead of training camp. Okay. I like that he said that. Okay. I like that he said that because, again, and I've said this before. Okay. And I know I'm not a beat writer. I know I'm not in the building. I don't cover the team, but just know football, right? Understand the game, played the game, know what I'm looking at, know what I'm talking about. He said that the Detroit Lions crop of rookies has modest expectations this season. Modest expectations. There are two reasons why our rookies have modest expectations. The first reason I think is very clear because, as I said yesterday, I talked about the holes that we filled in the draft. We really filled two holes in the draft. Okay? We filled two holes in the draft. What two picks were those? Number 1 and number 2. Okay, we filled a hole in the roster when we picked Tyleik Williams because, as I said, Ali McNeil is going to be out. Okay, we had him playing on the outside a bit for some other situations. We can have him, play on the outside a bit, but that's really not his game. His game is going to be in the middle. Disrupting defense or disrupting offenses and, trying to draw double teams while DJ Reader is trying to draw double teams, and that will help Hutch. If he's able to do that consistently, then Hutch will have a lot of the sack numbers that he had last season. But he was a need, right? Tate Ratledge was a need. Okay, we needed someone to replace Kevin Zeitler. While we already had Christian Mahogany, we bring in some competition. So now that it's not just a need that we filled, but it's also a depth piece that we added. Okay. And as I said, Isaac Tesla is, to me, a luxury pick. I mean, you have Tim Patrick. It could be Tim Patrick injury insurance because we know Tim Patrick came back from major knee injuries. He was healthy last year for all intents and purposes. He didn't miss any games, right? He is on another 1-year deal. Okay? So as I said, while Isaac Tesla, I think, is more of a luxury pick, it prevents you from having to get a third, fourth wide receiver at, it prevents you from having to do that next year. Okay. So you address it this year. Next year, I'm pretty sure people will be calling for whatever they're calling for. If the Detroit Lions do not win a Super Bowl this season, then whatever the reason was, that is going to be the refrain from Lions creators. Okay. We didn't win it because we don't have the pass rush to do it. We didn't win it because we don't have the corners. We didn't win it because we just don't have the defense at all. Okay? These are going to be the things that you hear. So, again, as I said, we've addressed the needs that we needed to address. So when we're going into the draft next year, if there are no more holes in the roster, then it truly will be BPA. Okay. Um, let's see. Through OTAs, first round pick Tyreek Williams would be able to match up. We did that. So Detroit's rookie class has modest expectations, and I did all of that. Okay. So yeah, that's why I was saying they have modest expectations, because the second reason, I said the first reason was that not everything was a need. Okay. The second reason is because our roster is so good. That's why it wasn't a need. We didn't have too many needs. With our first and second pick, I believe we filled needs. Okay. Everything else was just a cherry on the top. So because our roster is so good, we don't need these rookies to step in and be dynamic from day one. We don't need these rookies to step in and start from day one. So we don't have high expectations. Some of us out there have high expectations, super high, and a lot of the expectations are crazy, right? I think that there are people out there just putting out their expectations to troll. I don't think they're actually saying these things for real. Okay? So as I said, the only rookie that we need to come in and do something right away is Tyreek Williams. He's the only one. Okay? He's the only one. Everyone else, take your time, get it right, modest expectations, sit behind the person in front of you, learn the game, be in their hip pocket, showing them how to be a professional, showing them how to play in the NFL. Okay? I really don't think we will win a Super Bowl this season, but never say never. A lot of times you see a schedule and you think it's a lot harder than it is. A lot of times you see a schedule and you think it's a lot easier than it is. Okay? So that's my thing. We'll let it play out. I don't see any reason why they can't win the Super Bowl, especially if they go through this murderer's row of people. Then you're looking at or teams, if they're able to do well against them, then your opinion might change. Okay? Will the rookie DT be fantastic? I don't know if he'll be fantastic. I just need him to be impactful. He has to have an impact. Okay, I want it to be Eagles versus Lions in the 2025 NFC Championship game. I think the league probably wants that as well, because you definitely don't want the Commanders and the Eagles in the championship game, not after what happened last year. And again, the Commanders have, added Laramie Tunsil. And Deebo Samuel is, I think, inconsequential as far as what impact is he going to make on this team, which leads to winning. That's my question about Deebo Samuel. Yes, he's a good player and all these other things. How many good years did he have in San Francisco? A few. 1, 2. Right? So I'm not in fear of Deebo Samuel. I don't think he's really the X factor. And I think one thing that Deebo Samuel benefited from was having George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk and being part of that offense. Okay? The Washington Commanders have Terry McLaurin. Who else? Zach Ertz. Right? So they got Terry McLaurin. Their running back, I think, is Brian Robinson. He's ordinary. So now, where is DJ going to roam? Not DJ, Deebo. Where is he going to roam? Is he gonna pick up all those yards in the middle of the field because people got cleared out? I don't know. He's gonna break some tackles, things of this nature, but I'm not sure and I'm not certain that he has much of an impact in Washington. I just don't see it happening. All right, let's see here. Said San Francisco went to 2 Super Bowls and lost both to KC. Right. So I don't, like I said, as far as Debo Samuel, I'm just saying what the Commanders did. I don't know that they did a whole lot to get a whole lot better. But we'll see what their offense looks like in year two of Hendon Hooker. Okay. Did I say Hendon Hooker? I meant Debo Samuel. Year two of what? What's his name? Jaden Daniels. We'll see how they do then. All right. The last thing to watch out for or to watch for at the OTAs will be handled when we come right back. And we are right back. As I said, let's get into the last thing of the 5 that we need to watch out for. Or not watch out for, but that we need to watch for. It is the new coordinators. Okay? The new coordinators will compete. Obviously, you will see Kelvin Shepard matching wits against Johnny Morton. And we'll see who can get the better of the other. Obviously, you're installing offense, you're installing defense, and you are duking it out. So it says the team won't be full contact in OTAs, but there are avenues in which they can conduct team drills, such as 7-on-7 throughout their season, out their sessions. Now, 7-on-7 will give you a good indication of the passing game and a good indication of the secondary. Okay, so the secondary will include the linebackers. We'll see if Alex Anzalone is there. I don't know if he's going to be there at OTAs. I would assume that he's not going to be, especially if this all is a holdout for a new contract. Okay, now I've said this before. I did a whole show about it, or not a whole show, but a whole topic on the show. I think it was my Friday show. Where I talked about Alex Anzalone getting paid and his contract and things of this nature. As I said, not a huge deal. Pay the man the money. I've told you before, money can be moved, money can be shifted, money can be changed, money can be stored, money can be stashed. Okay? Money can be called a base salary one day and an option bonus the next. Okay? Money can be called a base salary one day and a signing bonus the next. Okay? So I don't think that Alex Anzalone's situation goes deep through training camp or whatever the case may be. If he sits out training camp, I don't think I just don't think it gets that far. You're quibbling over a couple $1,000,000. Okay, you give him a 2-3 year deal. As I said, he's older. You know what I mean? He's 30, right? 30 plus. He's not asking for a 4 or 5 year contract. He's probably not trying to break the bank. Okay. But when he says respect is due, Derek Barnes is his guy, but should we be paying Derek Barnes more money than we're paying Alex Anzalone? The answer is probably not. So pay Alex Anzalone. Well, let's see if he's there. We did sign Zach Cunningham, who was solid when he was with the was it the Texans? I think he was pretty solid. I think he was drafted by the Texans and he was solid, but now he's just kind of bounced around. He's on a journey around the NFL, and we may have just signed him for either camp or just OTAs, right? Because we knew we wouldn't have Alex Anzalone at OTAs. So, you come in, you give him a little contract right quick, not really a lot guaranteed. Couple, I don't know what's guaranteed. I have to look at his contract, but I don't imagine it's a whole lot. It's definitely not in the millions. So I also don't believe that this hurts their ability to sign Anzo. Okay. You re-sign Anzo or you extend Anzo, you re-sign Zadarius Smith. I think you're pretty much ready to go for the season. Okay. Those are the two moves that I think that you need to make before the start of the season. Training camp is training camp. Zadarius can miss it. Alex Anzalone can miss it. You saw what happened to the defense when he came back after the broken arm, right? So Alex Anzalone tweeted out before that or after that, when he showed you the stitches in his forearm, that everybody wants to be a dog until comes time to do some doggish. And he did some doggish. So shout out to Enzo. I believe that he will be back. I don't believe that this will be his last year in Detroit. I believe he will be extended, and it's not that difficult, bro. It definitely is not. Okay, they can fit his money under the cap pretty comfortably and easily. Under the cap, not the camp. All right. So the 7-on-7 drills will feature the linebackers and the secondary players. So you're going to get your 3 linebackers and you're going to get your 4 secondary players, 2 corners, 2 safeties. Okay. I am interested to see what Terrion Arnold is looking like as far as not coverage, not technique, but getting his head around, because his coverage was good and his technique was good last season. Getting his head around. Obviously, the knock on Terrion Arnold was that he was handsy and he was getting a lot of penalties. He cleaned that up in the second half of the season. So again, I'm not looking for any of those things. I'm looking for just exaggerating, like over exaggerating, getting his head around to come up with interceptions and PBUs. I think that's the next step that he needs to take. Coverage is there. And I've said this before. No, shout out to TaylorMade Media. No, he is not Lim Barney. He's not going to be Lim Barney. Okay. Lim Barney is a Hall of Famer. Lim Barney did have 10 interceptions his rookie season. That's not Terrion Arnold. Okay. That's not Terrion Arnold. Okay. That's Lim Barney. So let's let Terrion Arnold be Terrion Arnold, which I believe his ceiling is an all-star. Okay. Probably not a superstar. Okay. We don't have all-stars in football. So what we call a Pro Bowler. I don't even like to use Pro Bowler anymore because Pro Bowler is it's a popularity contest. It doesn't mean anything. Players vote, people vote, like fans vote. It's just doesn't mean much. Okay. But I think that's where he'll be. He'll be a Pro Bowler. Just got to get his head around. That's all. Because everything else is there already. Okay. And the fact that he played the the fact that he played the most man coverage snaps out of any corner in the NFL last season as a rookie is crazy. So he's been thrown into the fire, and I think he's going to come out tempered steel. That's just what I believe. I've seen it. I've seen the tape. I've seen his ability. So I have no questions about it. I just want to see what he does in OTAs, coming back, covering receivers live. Okay. Because it's easy when you're working out with someone in the off season. It's easy when you're working out with the foot doctor or the footwork doctor or whoever, your personal trainer. So now we want to see you, it's live bullets. You going to match up against J-Mo. You're going to match up against Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're going to match up against, if you're playing cover 2, Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the backfield because you got the flats, right? You're going to match up against Amon-Ra if you're playing in the slot. So you got a healthy, you got a murderer's row of receivers and receiving options that you have to deal with. Okay. And that only makes him better because our offense has those type of weapons. Okay. Our offense has that type of ability. So when you see that out there and you see that in practice every day, it only makes you better as a corner. So I think that his development will take a large leap, right? PFF has him, as the potential breakout player for the Detroit Lions. And I agree. I agree. As I said, he just needs to get his head around. Trust the technique. And he started doing that, the middle and towards the end of the season, he started trusting the technique. This is why he wasn't getting the penalties, because he didn't need to grab. He didn't need to grab. Okay. He didn't need to have illegal contact. He didn't need to push. So I think you'll be fine. I'm interested in seeing Ennis Rakestraw. We didn't really get too much of a look at Ennis Rakestraw last season because of all of the soft tissue injuries. Unfortunately, soft tissue injuries are pretty damaging. If you have a history of soft tissue injuries, they keep you off of the field. You got your hamstring injuries, you got your quad injuries, you got, this and that. So soft tissue injuries, if you can't get over them, they will hamper you throughout your career. And we hope that that's not what happens with Ennis Rakestraw. We do understand that he has some dog ass qualities. Okay. But we just have to be able to see him on the field. I know Dan Campbell is really, excited about Ennis Rakestraw and his development, and he believes that we're going to see a player kind of blossom in front of our eyes in year 2. And I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't deny it, but we just got to make sure that he's on the field. Okay. So we want him to go through OTAs. We want him to go through training camp without any soft tissue injuries. We don't want to see any hamstrings. We don't want to see any quads, or we don't want to see any pulls, any strains, nothing. We just want him to be completely healthy going into the season. And then he can carve out a role through training camp and into the season for him to be on the field, however often that he can be on the field. So that is what that is. Obviously, Amik is Amik, and he'll be back, right? He just had a broken arm, so it's really nothing that he's coming back to prove. Obviously, he always believes he has to prove something. This is part of his mentality. Okay, again, he is a smaller corner. He's like DJ Reed. So I don't necessarily know that he has anything to prove. But I just want to see him back out there hungry, getting after it, and moving around well after the broken arm. That's all I want to see from Amik Robertson. Obviously, the safeties. What do we need to see from Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph? Nothing. Just be Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and that's pretty much it. So back to this. This means that John Morton and Kelvin Shepherd will get their first chance to pilot their respective sides of the ball, even though it's in a practice setting. The way the Lions approach their different situational periods could be telling for what the groups will look like in 2025. Morton and Shepherd will be able to watch to match wits at times throughout the team's OTA practices. These sessions will provide a solid preview for what the team will be like this coming season under new leadership. So yeah. Depending on how the information comes out about the OTAs, look for a bunch of videos about them. Look for us to talk a little bit about them as they get closer. Our last show will be Friday, so the OTAs probably would. Let me see, when did they kick off? I don't want to give you guys the wrong information here. Kicking off. So we have a lot of previews. Okay, so it says 20 NFL clubs open OTAs on Tuesday. So today is Tuesday, so that's not us. All right. So for all 20, let's see. The Detroit Lions OTAs start okay, well, damn. Okay, to tomorrow. So tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mandatory minicap was June 10th through 12th, but that's the one I believe that they canceled. Okay, so we've got Wednesday through Friday and Monday through Wednesday. So we'll definitely be our show tomorrow will be about whatever happens in the OTAs, because obviously we are happening in the evening, and then after that, we don't do a show on Thursday, so I'll definitely have videos up on Thursday about what went on in OTAs then. Friday, we'll get to it. Maybe Saturday and Sunday, I'll have some observational videos. Again, we'll see what happens, but we're going to try to cover this as, as well as possible. Comprehensively is the word I'm looking for. All right, so we're going to try to cover this as comprehensively as possible. Okay. Couple more things, then we'll go ahead and stab out of here today. I don't know what that was. So we talked about linebackers. We talked about signing Zach Cunningham. We've also waived someone. So this is from Christian Boer as well. It says the Detroit Lions have parted ways with a member of their linebacker room heading into organized team activities. In a corresponding move for the signing of linebacker Zach Cunningham, the Lions have waived Abraham Beauplan. Last season, Beauplan signed with the Lions on August 11. Amidst the team's injuries at the position during training camp, he finished the preseason with the team and impressed the coaching staff before being waived as part of final cuts. He would return to Detroit on the practice squad and wound up playing in 3 games. Beauplan saw action exclusively on special teams during those 3 appearances, as he logged 46 snaps in that aspect. Prior to coming to Detroit, Beauplan spent the 2023 season with the Minnesota Vikings practice squad. He was an undrafted free agent that year out of Marshall, where he played 3 seasons after beginning his collegiate career at Navarro College. This all has a point, okay? This all has a point. In his 3 years at Marshall, Beauplan recorded 231 tackles, 23 for loss, and 3.5 sacks. Detroit's linebacker room was hit hard with the injury bug last season, as Alex Anzalone missed a significant portion of time, while Malcolm Rodriguez and Derek Barnes both suffered season-ending knee injuries. This season, Anzalone, Barnes, and Jack Campbell enter as the presumed starters, with Rodriguez, newcomer Grant Stewart, and Trevor Nowatzki also in the mix. Cunningham projects as competitive veteran depth and will have the opportunity to earn a spot on the final roster. Detroit will conduct organized team activities Wednesday through Friday each of the next 2 weeks. Okay, so I guess I was off on the dates because I said Monday through Wednesday the next week, but it's going to be Wednesday through Friday. Okay, now here is the thing. And this is my point. So I did say that Zach Cunningham they called him competitive veteran depth, AKA camp body, AKA OTA body. Okay. They said that he will provide this competitive veteran depth, and then he will have the opportunity to make the team. My thing is this: I'm gonna say this to you, and I want you guys to you can take it and run with it. You can whatever you got to do with it. What you're not gonna see from this channel, and you've never seen it, but you're not gonna see it for sure. I probably, unless I need some content, I am probably not going to be doing any profiles about practice squad players. I am not going to be losing my mind reacting to what I saw in a preseason game, because as I said earlier, when you got a guy who looks great against other third and fourth stringers, okay, he looks great against other third and fourth stringers. That doesn't mean he's going to look great against second stringers, or not first stringers, or even second stringers, right? When it becomes big boy football, when you got a guy, okay, there's going to be your 53rd man on the roster. When you got a guy that's going to be your 52nd man on the roster, or your 51st or your 50th man on the roster, you are not going to see me lose my mind. Okay, you are not going to see me trying to act like this person is going to be the next coming of Aiden Hutchinson or Jack Campbell or JMO or DJ Reed or anybody, or Jared Goff, anybody. Okay, we need to take it for what it is. If a practice squad player is on the practice squad, he's on the practice squad for a reason. Okay, there have been success stories and all these things. I am not trying to get ahead of anything, not trying to have receipts to reference and say, oh, I called this, yada, yada, yada. A draft pick who was drafted in the first, second round, and then maybe he came out the gates a little bit slow, or slower than you would have liked, like Terrion Arnold. Like, I'm going to give him leniency and I'm going to give him some grace because it's cornerback. Okay. Now, if you were in this position, then it's like, okay, even if we told you, hey man, draft this guy because he's going to be great, or he's going to be a steal in a later round, whatever the case may be, that's fine. But I am not going to be the one with all the bluster. I'm not going to be the one bloviating over this practice squad player, or this 6th, 7th round draft pick, or this undrafted free agent. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. Because I just believe that it takes away your credibility. And it's just, it's disingenuous, man. It's disingenuous. I'm not going to be throwing out a bunch of takes just to be right. What up though, Just a Fan? So that's my promise to you. I don't do hot takes. You know, everything that I say, I believe, and I'm not saying it for clicks and likes. I'm saying it from understanding football and understanding the game. Okay? Having knowledge of the game, having knowledge of the team that I cover. That's it. Right? I'm not going to say any crazy stuff like, oh, this insert dominant team here. They're going to completely fall off the face of the earth for no apparent reason. They didn't actually lose anybody. They just got better, but they're not going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to say no crazy stuff like that. Detroit Fan Man says certified ball number knower. I appreciate that. Okay. So that's what you're going to get from me. You're not going to get any of this fake stuff, all this hot take stuff, bro. You know, a lot of people talk about the clickbaiters and things of that nature. You know, yes, they're despicable people. But again, I'm just going to be real. I'm going to be authentic. I am going to be Motor City Don P. And with that, I am going to get back to work. I haven't done a lot today, so I will just leave you with this. The Motor City Cats are back at it. We came to give you stats and not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And we are out of here. Peace.